everyone.
Alert can do Twitch.
Go on Twitch mod mode.
Alright. Can somebody check the stream and make sure it's working on Twitch?
Yeah,
Yes.
on my way.
I want to see this Twitch announcement. I want to
see it.
Wait, what?
I want to be able to read the Twitch announcement on my phone.
You're live on Twitch.
You want to stream yourself. Got it.
Yep.
Alright.
Oh wait, I've been muted this whole time.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't saying anything anyway.
Oh.
The sad cat background is fitting.
Oh man.
It's eternally screaming. God.
Yeah, where is everyone? Are they just on the Twitch stream?
Yep. Val say
We
Kevin
have
time.
The
The
viewers.
notification is wrong.
How many?
13.
Nice.
13. Nice. Should we give it a minute?
I should probably like
Yeah,
just
we'll
use
give
the
it a minute.
Twitch stream if that's set up now.
There are
Well,
0
wait.
viewers
Brain
on
is kinda
Twitch.
hurting.
David! Oh, he.
David.
David.
Have a good talk, Kevin.
Uh,
I will be listening in.
Bye, Jay.
Hi Jake.
Bye, Jay.
Bye bye.
Bye.
All right.
I forgot my name on the EGaDS Discord is still Rearview Pincers.
Yeah. I could update that, yeah.
Mayhaps just for today. Just for now. Oh,
Fine.
should we start muting so like the actual meeting can start?
Oh yeah. You can start like we'll start like 7:05. Give people a couple minutes.
What if we had like background music, dude?
Some elevator music.
True.
What if you just start playing lo-fi?
Rhythm for Zoom.
True.
Wait, that'd be so cool. I hope that's a thing.
Zelda beats.
Can we give Kevin some like epic orchestral music to give his talk to or something?
Just make sure to drown his voice out.
Yeah, where's the Crowfall OST?
True. Wait, Kabuki trap background music? Ollie, can you drop that link somewhere? Fortunate.
No.
Bye, Ashley.
Good time to start like 7:05.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Sounds good. According to Jake, we're kind of quiet for him. So you might want to fiddle with your audio settings, Alex.
Is that a little better? I turned it up a little bit.
Jake, please tell us. So we just have to wait for chat.
Even
Sorry,
all my
just-
thingies are on blast.
Yeah, alright.
Maybe we just
Here.
gotta blast them.
I turned it up a little bit. Hopefully it's okay now and not ruining people's eardrums.
I will ruin people's eardrums. That's my job.
That's probably not something you want to say before you talk, Kevin.
Jake said it's a little better, I think. So I think
Okay.
we're good.
Apparently, there's a Zoom bot that will attend classes for you.
What?
Oh my
Wait, where
It'll-
can I
it'll
get
show-
this?
It'll show like that you're attending,
sketch.
but
We just put on the Kevin background.
Yes, just put on someone who's no longer a student.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say, the person on Twitch named Dandruff Snorter the Second. I love your name. That's all.
That's
He's a
great.
homie.
All right. So we should probably get started. It's 7:05. So unless anybody has any objections to that.
Go for it.
All right. So, hi everybody. Welcome to the first kind of real general meeting of EGaDS for the semester, not including kickoff. Just in case nobody was at kickoff, I thought I should go quickly over what EGaDS is. We're student org at
Oh,
UT.
you should introduce yourself, Alex.
Oh, I'm Alex. I'm a junior officer under Grant here, the events officer. And this could go horribly, but it probably won't.
Oh, you'll do fine. He's learning. But yeah, continue.
Right. Anyway, just in case somebody couldn't make it to kickoff, thought I should go over what EGaDS is. We're a student org at UT dedicated to game development and game developers. Our goal is to create a fun and welcoming environment for current and future game devs, where we can both share and build skills and experiences. Up there on the slide are a few key concepts we work towards. We want to make sure that people from various disciplines interact with us, that we build a good community, we have good professional avenues and creative avenues, and that it's always a place we can learn more from. All right, now to the event lineup for upcoming events. Here's a rundown of our usual events. We have a couple different kinds of meetings each week, and I'll get into the details of each one as we go forward. First up is that is not in the right order.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Oh, okay. All right, so general meetings first. Just like this one. We meet every other week on Tuesday evenings, and these generally feature a guest speaker from the industry who can give input, answer questions, and share their knowledge with us. Like today is an EGaDS alum, Kevin Lamb. And yeah, we've had speakers from many different studios and disciplines come and give talks with us, and I've personally found it incredibly useful, and I highly recommend going to these ones. Let's see. Hold on. What am I doing here? Apologies for the technical difficulties. There we go. All right, next up is workshops. So every Monday evening, we have an online workshop for helping people learn more about art or game dev, and we alternate between the two each week. This semester we're going in Unity and Blender. Well, we always do Unity, but for the art workshops are in Blender this semester. And the last one was about 3D texturing in Blender, so next week is going to be a Unity tutorial. Dev nights. So every Thursday night we get together in the Discord chat on our server, and we can just work on whatever projects we have going on, or spend time with the other EGaDSians, and sometimes we get visits from industry people or alums, or both. So those are also really fun. I highly recommend those. And can't forget our socials. Just a wonderful time to get to know fellow EGaDSians, play games, watch movies, or just do other stuff and hang out. And some upcoming events are GDC Squared, which would normally be the Game Developers Conference in the Gatesdale complex, but for obvious reasons, it's kind of just the Game Developer Conference at this point. But it's got a virtual schedule to be determined. It's one of our larger events. There's going to be panels and talks from folks in the industry, as well as some game showcases from local studios and students. It's a great event with a lot of opportunities, and much like most of this other stuff, I highly recommend you go. So, okay, yeah, this is the next upcoming workshop. Shader Graph on February 15th, Zoom 6 to 8 p.m. And you're going to be learning how to recreate some of the VFX shaders from Hades from one of our officers, Alex Huang. And then, yeah, the movie art socials, again, this Friday, February 19th, 7 to whenever, and we will be watching a movie with the UT Animators Club and drawing some screenshots. And that'll be in the Animators Club Discord. All right, so here's some of our social media plugs. If you're not connected with them already, given the times, Discord is where most of our activity comes from, but the Facebook and the newsletter are also great resources, so I'd hop on those if you aren't already. I'll give you guys a sec if you need it. All right. And then join EGaDS. It's only $10. Cash or Venmo at Texas EGaDS and become a EGaDSian trademark. In any case, include your info in a Venmo payment, and once you've signed up, contact Elena to confirm it and make sure it's all good. And a massive benefit of that is a wonderful t-shirt that will let you personify game dev. All right. So now some love for our related orgs. Longhorn Gaming and Women in Gaming, both great groups of people. We get some of their announcements in our partner org announcements chat in the Discord server, so keep an eye out for those. I recommend events from both of them. They're great organizations. And thanks to our sponsor, Zynga. Supported us for a while, helped us grow as an org, and it's nice to have their support. Okay, any questions before we move on to the speaker night portion?
Why don't you go back to the Animators Club slide so they can scan the QR code? I think that'd be...
Oh, I didn't even... Yeah, okay. I definitely
Yeah,
will.
well, we'll post links later, but like, you know, if you want to join
absolutely.
right now.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the QR code for the Animators Club, and yeah, good idea.
I also want to pop in really quickly and say I don't think my camera is being shared to Twitch, but I am actually wearing a brand new EGaDS t-shirt right now.
That's
I
awesome.
just picked them up from the department this morning. They look great. They feel great. They turned out really well. So we'll post more information about distribution in the coming week or so. Now that we have our hands on them physically and we can start getting them out to all of y'all. So very exciting stuff. They turned out really, really well.
Awesome. That's good. That's good. I'm looking forward to mine. All right. So let's go back. And do we have any questions in the Twitch chat or anywhere else before we move on to the speaker night?
No, looks good.
All right. In that case, tonight we have Kevin Lamb as our speaker, EGaDS alum and former officer, who is currently at Artcraft working on Crowfall. And let's see if I can get your stuff open, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's me. Oh, look, it's me. Hello. It is me. It is me scratching my head.
Is it?
Hey, it's me.
Yeah, it's you, Grant. I'm not sure why.
Wait. Okay,
There.
so
Solved.
yeah, you're trying to stream Zoom, I presume.
All right. Does it look right now?
Yeah, you gotta spotlight me.
It's still me.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But like,
Oh.
okay, you can just do a black screen if you click off and click. If you like hide, if you click the eye in the next to the display capture. And
Oh. All right.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Am I on?
Yeah, so do you have slides, Kevin?
Nope. I'm just talking today.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the spotlight, so no one else can.
Hello. It is me. I am Kevin.
Yeah. So.
Hello.
I guess.
Do I just go?
Uh,
Hello. I am
Alex
Kevin.
is trying to stream to Zoom, so just give.
Okay.
Is it
just
not
just
up
give
yet?
a bit.
Yeah.
All right.
Just
Is
tell me
that-
when. I will
Yeah.
continue bobbing
Does
up and
that look
down for
right?
the one participant that's not an officer.
Yeah, so right now we're trying to
Here,
switch
does this
between
look
the
right?
streams.
No.
So Twitch is
What's
kind of in
going
the
on?
dark right now. No, that's just a picture of my room.
I apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah, we've never streamed Zoom before.
That's true.
Yeah, everyone just imagine some weirdo bobbing up and down that y'all can't see.
All right.
Because I know the audio is at least going through.
Hey, Alex.
Yeah.
As a last resort, you could just maximize Zoom and just stream your screen.
Share your screen.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. All right.
Okay.
Would audio still go through?
I should.
Yeah, it's just desktop audio. I mean, it's sharing it right now, even though there's no video.
Okay. Oh no, oh, never mind. The one participant decided to turn on his camera. That's what happened.
Nice.
He got shuffled.
Hey.
Bobbing up and down, bobbing up and down.
All right, Grant, you got any good jokes to keep us entertained or something?
What did the frog say when he crossed the road?
Oh my god.
He said,
I don't have a punchline for this.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, I'm genuinely trying to figure out how to get this to work. I'm sorry, folks.
Alright, in the meantime, then, I have a joke. A dyslexic man walks into a bra.
You got everyone laughing with that one. Ooh. I like the punchline. I like the joke though.
Yeah, I could
Alright.
definitely tell by how hard you were laughing.
Well, we've graduated from a black screen to a white screen, so it's a good
Getting there.
good work.
Zoom must not like this.
Yeah, Zoom is not cooperating with me. I'm not
I
quite
guess
sure
I can just,
why. I think
be the white talking void.
well,
that works
it
as
might
well.
be
Like Gandalf the White.
since this is a school account, it might be censoring it because of FERPA. It might be a.
that's a interesting theory.
I don't know if that's going on. I've
Okay.
definitely at least
Well,
streamed.
it's streaming everything now. It's got the Zoom UI, but it just doesn't have any of you lovely folks.
All right. Do we want to just put up a picture of me, and then
Yeah, just stream
everyone
the
can
slides.
imagine the mouth is moving?
Yeah. Okay.
If you want to see Kevin's face, come to the Zoom.
Here we go.
Wait, no. Someone send him one of your pictures of me, and then
Where's the
we
birthday
can
picture?
pretend the mouth is
have
moving.
to do the
Hey,
birthday.
hey, hey.
Here's the birthday
It's good.
picture.
We don't need. You don't have slides anyways, so I think this is fine. So, all right, let's go. Kevin, you
Hello.
have the floor.
Hello, it is me. I am Kevin. Yes, that is my glasses. Anyways, I am a relatively recent grad. I graduated UT winter 2019. Is that the actual year? Yes, winter 2019. And basically immediately started working in art craft. Pretty lucky strike actually, because prior to that I had no internships, no other offers. I pretty much got scooped up right as the semester ended, which was, lucky. Y'all should not do that. I am not here for career advice though, so maybe you should do that, maybe not. Probably not do that because it's an awful idea and makes it very hard to look for jobs. Anyways, so where I'm working now is Artcraft, which is a company. Sorry, got distracted by another noise. Yeah, Artcraft, a company making an MMO called Crowfall, which is Not more. It's not WoW like. It's more like, okay, make your guild, and now we're gonna have a lot of guild versus guild scenarios. And so it's more about like player versus player than just, okay, gotta do the next raid boss and then kill it and then get all its loot. Anyways, enough shilling about my company. What am I here about? I am here to just sort of ramble on about what it was like getting from school to work. And well, you already got a small preview in saying I just sort of got scooped up right in the last weeks of um, my education, which I actually do not suggest any of y'all do. Look for those internships, look for, those other sources because, well, I got lucky and also I just had enough proof that I could do it. And so let me just elaborate on that. While I was in UT, I was part of EGaDS and, was fairly active. Yeah, my first year was actually kind of a rough year for EGaDS. A lot of people kind of dropped out because we had a bad first speaker, but it's been getting better. It's been improving over time, but I was fairly active, became a officer in my junior year. Although that was also an awkward time because of the middle of OS. But yeah, fairly active, did game jams, did every game jam that EGaDS was um, participating in and hosting, and then, built up that proof by just jamming, just like having literally 8 game jams under my belt showing that I can, work in a team, I can work in the time crunch, get things done on time. And not only that is show that I can actually make a good product because, you know, being able to get all the features in a, sensible amount of time is also like a necessary skill. Like, yes, you do have to cut things, but try to get as much of it as you can before you need to cut. But that's talk about management that I will skip. Anyway, so let's just talk about my first day because that was a weird experience. Um, Actually, yeah, no. I'm gonna skip the interview because that is more career-oriented stuff that I should not be giving advice on. Um, so yeah, my first day of work was actually also equally weird. I don't think Artcraft was used to hiring new people for a while. So when I kind of walked through the door, no one was there to like greet me or like say, "Hey, welcome aboard." So I just sort of sat in the lobby awkwardly, which was its own thing. But someone helped me, redirected me to Gordon, the co-owner of Artcraft. And yeah, the also equally weird part is that there was no onboarding process. I sort of was just sat with a fellow engineer and then sort of just run through all the stuff that I need to download, install, etc. And I sort of hit the ground running with any like practices I need to follow and stuff like that, which was, I think you wouldn't expect that kind of thing in bigger companies. I think most companies have proper onboarding, and we have been uh, actually dedicating an engineer to onboarding the newest hires. But you know, it was weird. I'll say my experience is not the normal. Um, it also probably will be harder because I can just go with the flow. I'm just like, okay, so this is how other people are doing it. I guess I can do that too. Being aware of the general gist of how things work and then just going along with it as necessary, asking questions, and yeah, just be ready to ask questions because they know you're going to be a new person. So, you know, get that information. Don't just assume things, ask. And yeah, that was my weird first day. The other weird thing that was sort of new to me, going from work, going from college to work, is the fact that they have to make you estimate everything. So what I mean by that is that instead of just like doing your homework, you got to say, okay, this fraction of my homework is going to take 2 hours. And then you got to, for every task you're given, you got to estimate that time. And now you're probably asking, why is that needed? I can just get things done, by the deadline. And it's so that we can actually figure out how much you can do of the task and like figure out how hard it is to do a task, because anyone can look at the service level and then go, this is, this is pretty short, this is easy. And well, that's not going to be as good of an estimate as the guy who's worked with it every day, in and out, knows the system and so forth. And so estimating your work is actually like a huge skill you should start developing now, because to get better at knowing how long things will takes practice. Like you need to get used to saying, okay, this piece of homework takes me 4 hours, and timing yourself, seeing if it actually takes 4 hours. And while I do say estimate things, not everything is always as planned. Like you can always have surprises in your problems, like, oh, suddenly this is actually a deeper problem than I initially thought. And so stuff like that will always come up, but you try your best to get your estimates correct. Like um yeah, sometimes I say this is a problem that takes 3 hours, and then I end up spending a week on it. Like there are always surprises, and having that flexibility in the schedule is kind of the manager's job, but you still should be aware. You should still like account for it. Like, oh, this is stuff that I haven't explicitly done before. Let me increase the estimate and stuff like that. Yeah, estimates are nice. Well, not nice. They're weird, but you got to get used to them. Yeah, surprises are always a thing. I am rambling a lot, and wow, I thought I had more to say than that. um. Anyways, so the other big thing to know is that going into your job is going into long-term development is more of a marathon than a sprint. It's about making sure you're working towards a longer term goal than just the bug immediately in front of you, because there's very quick ways of getting rid of bugs. Like, okay, here's a null reference here. Oh, and by the way, I am mostly programmer oriented, but I'm trying to orient this more generally. But yeah, there's always quick fixes to your bugs, but sometimes you need to dig a little deeper and know, like, really, why is a bug there? Like, why did this happen in the first place? And can you add more prevention for it? Because yes, fixing a bug makes the game better in the end, but if it's easy for the bug to come back, then you know why do you want to spend more time fixing a bug again? So it's always about the longer term sustainability and building tools and like figuring out, finding root causes, just so you can eliminate that root cause and then be done with the bug forever. And that, I feel like something is okay. um the root causes are definitely some of the hardest things to do. That's actually been some of the sources of, okay, I thought this task would be done in a day, and then now I'm spending a week improving, getting better, getting a better solution, getting a more long-term solution, because I don't want to come back and see this broken again. Like, it might be in a short, like, oh, I checked the wrong box and then I'm done. How about I add the guarantees that the wrong box can't happen in the first place? And so, that longer term sustainability is always something that you have to think about, just because and now I'm talking in circles. um yeah, you just have to consider it, because getting the work done at the end of the day, sure, whatever. But if you have to keep coming at it, it keeps coming back, and then you have to keep fixing it. You don't have time to fix other bugs. Like, you're just going to be stuck in the same problems over and over unless you can actually find that root cause. Because I know what the college homework is like. You just fix it to work on the due date, and then sometimes you're like, oh, I don't know why this works, but it works, so I'm going to turn it in. And then be like, and then so I'm going to actually challenge you to say, figure out why it works now that you've changed something. Because it not only because yeah, once you start questioning why things work, you're going to start getting used to finding longer term solutions to things, not just like, oh, this is a mystery bug, I fixed it by just saying don't turn red. How Yeah, sorry, that was a very bad example. um but yeah, that marathon, not a sprint, is really a big difference, just because it's not just getting to the due date. Things will haunt you in the end. um yeah, bad code for the programmers, that always comes back to bite you, because then there's another bug that's going to be harder to fix because your code was bad. But yeah, that was that's quite the experience. There's been a couple times that I've actually had to go back and fix code. It wasn't great. It spent oh boy. Yeah, do things right the first time. Just yeah.
All right. So we have a couple questions in the chat. Would you mind?
Yep.
All right. So first one, other than game jams, what do you think helped you get into the industry? Like any classes or other game dev experiences that you had?
So aside from game jams, it's actually been I didn't really do much, unfortunately. So I was I mostly did game dev during jams. As far as classes that I found helpful, I will say none of them were directly helpful. All of them were always building upon my fundamental skills as a programmer to be able to account for problems, to look deeper in the code, to find the exact reason why bugs are happening so that I can just get rid of it for good. Because those good practices, like, they don't seem important during homework, but unless you do them during homework, you're not gonna get used to the good practices. Um, yeah, just for the programmers, build your fundamental skills. Like, uh, because yeah, you just get used to it. You be able to do it more faster. I don't know where I was going with that more. Just you're able to do it faster. You're able to think of it more often. You'll always go back to these patterns. And speaking of patterns, there is one class I know is very rarely taught that I will recommend the programmers take, and that is called it was programming design programming. I forgot. It's taught by Batory at UT. Um, but the class is, in my general pitch, I always call it a more advanced fundamentals. And what it covers are programming design patterns, which are common code patterns that are like universally useful and easy to replicate, and um, yeah, just used everywhere, just because they're so solid of a foundation to use. For example, one programming pattern you may or may not be familiar with is the singleton, where it's like you have one instance of an object to say it is responsible for everything. And so everything can just reference this one instance and then be done with it. And these patterns are helpful in that it helps you organize your code. because when you know the singleton's responsible for example, you know that that's the one place things should go, where you should look for bugs, etc. But yeah, these design patterns are just pretty basic patterns that like seem very general, very broad, and I will say the class is kind of boring, but getting used to thinking about patterns and then refactoring between them, switching between them, knowing when they're useful, how they're useful, that it helps you think of your code architecture on a higher level and not just I fixed the problem. You said there were other questions?
Yeah, there are a couple more. Two of them are slightly similar. So one of them is, what was an unexpectedly difficult aspect of working with many other people? I imagine on your current team.
A difficult aspect with working with other people. I think this is a very Unity specific problem, but I think the biggest issue was just Unity makes merging files. Some of Unity's files are the most annoying to merge. So for those not familiar, when you get into serious development, you will use some kind of source control. The most popular ones are like Git or like SVN, and there are several others. And these source controls are ways to manage project files across a whole team. Just be able to push your changes and updates to files so that other people can pull them and then get those changes. And the source control is like in charge of managing what is the correct state of files. So now for code, it's fine because code is raw text. Oh, and at work we use Git. Git is probably the most popular. I'm not aware if I'm wrong. So maybe I'm just totally wrong, but yeah. Git is very good with text files. It's able to find the differences and changes in text files very quickly, very accurately, and is able to figure out how to merge, as in combine two changes, very easily with text files. The problem, though, is Unity files are inconsistent. Like when it saves a Unity file, sometimes it just changes the order of the contents for no apparent reason. So now, if only one person's making change on like a prefab, for instance, it is whatever, one person made a change. Two people make a change and they both try to push. Now Git doesn't know how to actually solve the differences. Like it doesn't know how to put the changes together and say, okay, this is the actual latest version of it.
So it seems like it's a
And
lot of a communication thing between you and your team, right?
yeah, so when I end up working on a lot of UI stuff, I do have to communicate that I am currently working on different parts. And so they know that there might be a conflict in this merging issue. Yeah, working with programmers, it's much easier because like we can just merge for the most part. I think communication across programmers is mostly understanding each other's systems because so I'm not sure if it's used in other places, but in Artcraft we do system ownership where they don't expect a single programmer to just work on everything. You're in charge of certain systems like the combat system, the UI, like our building system. And so you get super familiar with it. The problem with games though is that you're almost destined to have your systems like interconnect. And so figuring out the proper way to interconnect and like fix issues with those bridges between systems is that's the only communication you really need to do across programmers. But sometimes explaining how something should work is also um a journey.
Interesting. Interesting. All right. More questions? So, when it comes to estimating the amount of time it takes to do a task, I've heard consistently that overestimating is in your best interest. Any guidelines on how much to overestimate?
That's actually the first time I've heard of that, but that's also probably because I hit the ground running, you know. I just knew that people needed estimates, so um let's see. I think there is for programmers, I think the rule of thumb that I've heard is think of a reasonable time and then double it. And if you're really inexperienced, triple it. And so I understand why people would say overestimating is beneficial. It's so that you don't end up with more work than you can do in a single milestone. Because if you if you underestimate, then you're just trying to rush all the work. But if you overestimate, you have less work and you're more likely to finish everything you were assigned in the first place. Personally, I sort of just have a rating scale, being more like, okay, I am somewhat familiar with the code here, and so I put that at like 4 hours. I'm not very familiar. I put that at 5 hours. Now, this is a very bad way of doing it, I will say. But yeah, that's generally how I go about estimating. Yeah, just I rate my familiarity with the code. If I can like predict the actual error, like cause of the bug, then the time's like vastly reduced, because most of your time will be investigating how something happened, not really fixing the bug, which is I guess that's also a big change, because most of my work has been fixing bugs, fixing existing code, working in big systems and making sure I'm doing things correct by the existing systems. You're not just always making things new, because when you make things new, it's a wild west. You can do whatever you want realistically, but when you have existing code and such, it's much harder. Random loop back to what classes helped though. OS actually is helpful for that, getting used to big systems. Because I know most people are flocking toward Gyth OS now, but Pintos was a good exercise in, can you read code from an existing system and adapt it to something new? Because Pintos is a huge mess in general. Just, I'm not saying the code's bad, but there's just so many things going on. And being able to read it, get it in your head, understand how it works and how you need to adapt it to make the new features is like, it's huge.
Interesting.
Question.
Yeah, this kind of ties into what you were just talking about, actually. Any difficulties you found when transitioning from working on game jam games to working on long-term games like Crowfall?
Let's see, game jams to long term. Yeah, I could just there is that difference of making something fresh versus building on existing systems. There's I guess this is the biggest thing. In your game jams, you never quiet, Ian. In game jams, you never have to deal with legacy code. Now, yeah, not sure if this applies across disciplines. I very, very doubt it does. But legacy code is basically like the old system that you may or may not still be supporting when there's newer code, because there just wasn't time to go back and fix it, because usually you don't change something unless you absolutely need to. It's very rare that we like completely redux a system um because it's just not doing what we need. So a lot of the times we keep like 5-year-old code because it works, it works, but it's kind of clunky, it's inefficient, it's hard to reason about because it's hard to read. It was poorly organized. And so working with these legacy systems is usually a huge pain in the butt because you usually first thing you go is like, why is it done this way? Why does this look like this? Why couldn't you do this better 10 years ago? But yeah, working with those legacy systems is usually I end up cleaning it up on just while I'm working in it. But the bigger the system, the harder that is. And so usually you have to work around it, which is awful because working around your issues is how you create more bugs than you had initially. Like try to hotwire the system to do what you need sometimes is harder and more error prone than just redoing the whole system.
Like you were talking about earlier, you want to get the root cause of it.
Yes, fixing the root cause. Sometimes not possible though, and sometimes you do end up doing workarounds as like an absolute last resort. Which does remind me, I'll just save it for later. Unless there are more questions.
That's all that's in the Twitch chat right now. I had a quick question for you, actually.
Yes.
Just how much and how often do you find yourself working with the other disciplines, like the artists and sound engineers and designers?
So that's actually the answer is actually fairly frequently, like almost every day, every other day, because fixing a bug is sometimes actually just going to the designer and going, hey, is this supposed to work like that? Like, is QA actually telling me the problem here? Is this intended? Because if you just go by whatever blanket statement was said on the ticket, sometimes it's just wrong. Sometimes someone just misunderstood the system. Like someone didn't actually know how this worked when they wrote the ticket for you to fix. Yeah. And so like actually going and asking around for information is like the biggest part of fixing bugs. Like, oh wait, I can't share some details, but yeah, sometimes the issue actually isn't even a programming problem. Sometimes it's just, oh, this data's wrong, and so I have to hand it to a designer to fix because they're the one who handled the data. Or like, oh, this art asset is made weird, so I have to, contact the artist and be like, this needs to be fixed, and then they'll also know any like side steps that need to be done to get it properly in in probably get the issue resolved.
All right, we have one more question, kind of just relating to that. So what did you mean by the designers handling the data?
Okay, so in Crowfall, a lot of our systems are data driven in that we basically have a lot of spreadsheets of like raw data that we just turn in. We take that data and then like make an item, for instance, based on that data. And so yeah, the designers handle that data in that like they balance the numbers on items, or like they choose how much a skill does, like how much damage it does. And so some of these settings are just general, broadly I call data, like just huge spreadsheets of things that the designers tune and tweak. And sometimes it's just that, oh, that number is wrong. Like, oh, this was supposed to be a 1 instead of a 0.1. And so it's like the small things that sometimes end up on me because like the designers don't know how the data gets processed and becomes values in game. But then it turns out it's just them who has the power to actually fix it.
All right, that's very interesting. Okay. So another kind of just general question from me. What is your favorite aspect of making video games?
I think it's just how immediate you can see your changes affect the game or affect your product, I should say, if we're talking a general programming sense. Because everything in a game is always visual. You know, there's some kind of feedback that you can get when things go right. And so, yeah, getting that more immediate feedback, actually seeing what's happening rather than just, okay, I fixed this bug and now the invisible data table that I can't actually see is now correct. You know, just looking at raw code is actually kind of awful. I have to do it sometimes. It's not the most fun, but like when I only have, but being able to, make the UI work like intended, seeing all the animations happen and fire when they need to is, always a great reward.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. All right. From the chat, what's your favorite game?
I will ignore that question, Alex. I'm kidding. I don't really have one. I'm always just playing whatever's around me. And that, yeah, it's just what's around me. Right now, I am somewhat playing Deep Rock Galactic, which is a multiplayer space dwarf mining game. Unfortunately, it's a multiplayer game and no one is currently playing. Um, I won't go any deeper than that, but yeah, I just play whatever. I tend to go more indie. I never really played big AAA games, but that's personal things.
Okay, so we have a few more questions. Um, a lot more questions actually. Do you have a least
No,
favorite game?
Christian. Least favorite game? Oh, do I pull up a list? um, yeah, there have been games that are I have a Steam library category called the Do Not Touch Again list. I
I
will
think
say
we all do.
there's a list. Um, I won't elaborate on that list. Don't ask those questions. Don't ask bad questions.
All
Don't hate
right.
on people's games.
So, um, a larger question. Some previous speakers have said that working on games makes it a lot harder to enjoy playing them. Has that happened to you, and do you think it will in the future if it hasn't?
I think I'm just in a unique position where I don't play the game type that I work on. So while I have played MMOs in general, I have mostly grown out of them. I've just moved away from the daily grind, what some people call the second job um, of MMO. Yeah, MMO, some people call a second job because of how much work you must dedicate to them. While I have played my fair share, I have mostly grown out of them, or they've been mostly like pretty, like they aren't like WoWs. They're pretty different in their own way, and Crowfall is also different. And so, because don't really play MMOs and don't really have experience that day in and day out, I don't think I have burned out on games. I can see why people could burn out on games if they literally make the games you play, which is, yeah, that's just you're doing the same thing over and over. I might also be in the beneficial position that I'm not really playing the game all that often because uh when I'm fixing bugs, I'm mostly in like the UI or something, like a smaller fraction of the game, and then grinding understanding how that works and grinding that to a fine powder so I can finally understand how to fix the bug. And it's usually small enough that I'm not like inundated with playing and like uh experiencing the game over and over again.
Makes a lot of sense. All right. We have a very small question from Alex. Is there a game that you wish was better?
I'm trying to think. Well, there's two ways to, take this question. Do I want to make a great game better, or do I want to? No, Ian, don't say that, Ian. For people in Zoom chat, Ian just said, "Do I want to make Crowfall better?" And while yes, that is my job, and I am required to do that, no, that is not the answer to this question. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 3 was quite a train wreck. That should be better. That should have been better. I blame Square for that. But yes, as I was saying, there's two ways to take this question. Do I make a good game better, or do I take a bad game better? Make a bad game better? Who knows? Kingdom Hearts, yes, that should have been better. Wish it was better. Doors being opened behind me. Let me just open my never again list. Yeah, I'm not gonna talk about those. Yes, next question.
Okay, I'm
And
not
that is
sure how to interpret the rest of the questions here. There aren't many.
I have one.
Don't worry,
If
nothing's
nothing in
happening
the
behind me.
other chat. You mentioned earlier that communicating is really important, and you spend a lot of time communicating with people in different disciplines to figure out how systems work. How does communicating exactly go about in such a big team?
Because I've actually most of my working time has actually been remote. All the communication is basically a Slack DM. Just message some guy on Slack, message the system owner on Slack, be like, how does this work? Or does this look correct? Because here's something else as a programmer that I had to do, didn't have to do in college, have to do at work. Code reviews, which are having a second. I know a lot of I interrupted myself. Yes. I know a lot of classes will say, oh, the industry has you pair program, and pair programming is great, and there's less error, code faster. We didn't do it in Artcraft. What we end up doing instead is, you investigate the bug, you get the solution, you write the solution, and then you have someone else, ideally someone who understands the system, look at the code, and then actually go, okay, this looks fine, this makes sense, or like, oh, this is wrong, you need to do this instead, like, and getting that second pair of eyes to like correct the code and like make it better, or like saying that this solution is actually garbage and you need to do a different solution. No one actually says that, but I have had times where I needed to completely remake a solution to get at a root cause, or like making the code better in general. And sometimes when you do the code review, it ends up you get more work that improves the overall quality, but changes like absolutely nothing about it fixing the bug. And that, it's just always nice to have better code. It's also one of the sources of missed surprise bonus time, making things better.
All right.
Has anyone? How often has people actually had to pair program? I'm curious now.
My one and only time was at OS. Actually, no, I did it on a project in OOP. I did a programming project, but that was it. Just those two times.
I did a couple in data structures.
Yes. Yeah, pair programming, I don't know, rarely did it. The one time I did it for OS, we cheated the system. Don't tell anyone. One guy did all the typing. I did all the driving because I was the one who understood the code. I was the only one who actually knew the system, read the code enough, knew the system well enough to know, okay, this is the change we need to do. And yes, I will say OS was rough. OS will probably very rarely be directly relevant, but getting used to reading the big project. Oh boy, the big project. Get used to it.
All right. So I think one more push for questions, but if we don't get any, I think it's been a great meeting, and it's been great to have you here talking with us.
Yeah, I guess I'll answer Robert's question of a favorite Gordon story. So, if y'all aren't aware, Gordon Walton is, um, yeah, he just sometimes visits EGaDS meetings when we were physical, just just because. And then he hands the treasurer $20 for the pizza, even though the pizza's free. Just he just walks up and does that. So here's a story I heard from my coworkers. Apparently, at one of the old offices, there's roaches sometimes could be visible, and so we have this daily stand up where everyone gets in a circle, says what they're doing for the day, which is also just how it's another way of communicating to the other people that, hey, I'm about to touch the system. If you have, and then if they have comments to talk about, they, say they can speak up. Anyway, so they were in stand up. A roach just casually walks in the middle of the circle. Just no care in the world. Gordon apparently casually pulls out a pocket knife and then starts stabbing the roach on the ground. I don't remember. I think he missed a lot. And then someone else just gets a napkin, grabs the roach, and then it's like, okay, we're done with that. So yes, that is the story of Gordon.
Nice. All right. Any advice for people wanting to get into programming?
Um, I think this is something for more transitioning from beginner to advanced. Get used to looking up docs and relying less on tutorials. That's probably a very oddly specific thing to say, but I say this because tutorials only tell you how to do things, while in the long term, what you want is to understand the tools you have and know how to build anything given a set of tools and expanding your set of tools by like reading docs or like looking up, yeah, just mostly reading docs. A lot of doc reading. Like, for instance, C sharp. Yeah, just without getting too technical, C sharp has this cool feature called async await. I basically learned that on the job because it happened to be useful, because the other ways of doing this were kind of annoying, kind of hard to read, hard to debug. So I just read the docs on async await and was like, okay, here's how I do it. The code's cleaner now. It's easier to think about. I'm done. And so, yeah, get used to just reading docs, just going, okay, what does this class do for me? What can I do with this class? How do I use this class? Rather than, okay, this is how I get an NPC to follow a path. Instead, learn how to use navmesh. Then you have this whole tool for pathfinding. That's a very uni-centric example. But yeah, usually those pathfinding things just are like, okay, here's a ring of navmesh agents. Now you go. But yeah, learn how to use navmesh instead. So then you just have a whole pathfinding tool instead of just, I know how to make NPCs walk in a circle.
Interesting.
I am ignoring all the cat questions.
All right. Um, I think if we don't have any more questions aside from the cat questions, this might be a good place to call it good.
Cool?
Cool.
No. No house tour.
Everybody's
This is
prying
why
into
you
your
always.
personal life, Kevin. Cat house.
This is why good speakers also know how to read the question and then answer it, because then they know what you're reacting to. No, there's no cat tour either. Get your own cat.
Right. Thank you
Yeah.
again for speaking with us. Thank you again for your service in EGaDS. It's been great to have you here.
True, the shadow president.
The shadow president.
Look,
I
y'all,
take all my
they
orders
don't
from
know me
Kevin.
anymore. They don't know me anymore. They
We
don't
need to
know
have
things
a
I did
we
for
need
you
to have a
guys.
Kevin emote on the Discord server since he's a shadow president.
That's a good idea. It's a good idea. Oh, well, yeah,
Right.
thanks for coming, Kevin. It was great to have you. Great to hear from you. Very insightful.
I will definitely apologize because the beginning was just me, ranting about random things. Questions are
Ah,
probably better for me.
well, it was great to spend the evening with you.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for coming.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks everyone.